at this point am going to go over a little bit about what we do here at AZRI as far as like our mission and how AZRI came about, or the Arizona Relationship Institute. So my name is Trish Martineau. I am not a clinician here. I'm actually the owner, as I like to say, the co-creator of AZRI. Because as you've been able to see with some of the other clinicians, they are really the reason that this place is successful and what we do for the community and helping couples and individuals. So a little bit of background about me. So I've been in this field in different areas for about 25 years. I started out as a young kid dealing with some pretty personal, traumatic events. And throughout the course of my life, as early as 3 years old, I had kind of a typical situation clinicians will hear throughout their life of parents got divorced, my mother got remarried, and had some sexual abuse as a young age, and my mother was given the opportunity to keep me or to have her spouse leave or have me leave, and she chose for me to leave. And so that kind of set up the building blocks of my life, as I'm sure when you hear and work with your with clients and or friends or family members, where it kind of gave me there was questions always of the why. Right? Why do I feel this way? Why did someone do this to me? And so early on, I was put into counseling, and I have to say that without those early clinicians in my life, I don't think I would have fared as well as I think I have. All throughout my life, I will talk about with people that I feel like people have come into my life for a reason. They've come into my life to teach me, to help me and teach me tools on how to cope with trauma. And I, at an early age, felt very comfortable with the idea of having counseling. A lot of people, they think, oh, if you go to counseling, that means you're crazy, right? And I saw it differently growing up. I saw it as a very, just education, right? And I was very educationally driven. So for me, it was all about learning tools and all about learning all this, new information and how that I could handle my own emotions, how I could handle my outward. I couldn't really control a lot of what was going on in my life and in my home, but I could control how I felt about myself. And so early on, I had school counselors, and I have to give honor there because without my school counselors and my teachers, I don't know where I would be. So I always felt comfortable. So I always tell school counselors, you work to death like teachers, but you play a very vital, important role. I always felt comfortable going to those people for guidance and support on where choices I should make because I didn't have that at home. And so fast forward, and I was able to create a community of people around me that were always there for me to support me and to help me and guide me. And so I feel like I've always meant to do this work, not necessarily become a counselor, but to be in this field in some way. And it kind of just fell into place. And so the founder of AZRI, Dr. Gold, I worked in the medical field early on and just learned everything that I could. And then I went to work for a counseling facility and thought to myself, how can I be really involved in this business? In this industry. And but I also was raising 5 children, and I was about on my 3rd at that point, and I was like, and I'm very kind of religious, and so I prayed to Heavenly Father, and I said, Heavenly Father, I said, please give me a pathway to be able to stay at home with my babies and do what I need to do to take care of my kids, but also to still be able to work and provide and bring in some income. And so Dr. Gold worked at one of those facilities, and Dr. Gold is the creator and the founder of AZRI. And so that's how we became to work with each other later on. But in the beginning, I was seeing a lot of private practice clinicians that were kind of floundering. They needed extra support, not just around training, but like organization of their businesses. And so I, being entrepreneurial myself, I thought, okay, how can I help? This seems like there's a niche here. And so I tried to figure it out, and the internet was, fairly new then, and building websites and all those things. Anyway, so Lisa, Dr. Gold, came to me and she said, hey, she goes, what do you think about like helping me with my practice on the side, like doing my billing and all of that, because that's what I had been doing at the facility. And so I knew all the ins and outs of all of that, but I didn't quite know how I could take it from the office to virtual. And so I tried figuring that out. And so what I did was I just went home, did some brainstorming, talked it over with my husband. He said, hey, let me create you a website, let me create you a scheduling site, all of that. And that it began. So I got a cell phone on the side that was just her clients would, call me or text me. And then it just kind of snowballed from there. And over the course of the next, I would say 15 years, I just started I did not ever have to advertise. And so I had therapists just calling me, hey, can you help me out in my private practice? Because what a lot of people don't know about private practice clinicians is, or at least in the mainstream clients and other people, they don't understand that therapists are doing it alone most of the time, unless they're in a facility like this, or they're in community health or something like that. But if they're in private practice, they're pretty much doing it alone. So I have a passion for helping private practice clinicians become successful. And I, over the years, have been able to go in contractually and work with different facilities and get them started, and working with private practice clinicians and getting them started in private practice and being successful, and teaching them the ins and outs of what that looks like. I can quickly kind of look at a therapist that I think needs some extra training in specific areas, because I can see what their clientele looks like and how long they're keeping their clientele, things like that. And so over the years, Dr. Gold got busier and I got busier, and she ended up needing to have more support in front of her, right? Like in an office setting. And so I took care of her practice for about 6 years, and then she was kind of like blossomed so much. She got so busy and so, that she needed like a hands-on 24/7 person. And I wasn't able to offer that support. But through the years, we became really good friends, and she would contact me off and on. Are you ready to come and work with me and run a office? At this point, she wasn't here. And so about 7 years ago, she contacted me just at the right time. And so I just had my new baby was, well, not new, she was 4 years old, my baby. And so I was going to school, and it just worked out perfect. So I said, I will come temporarily. I will help you get started. And because I had done that in the past. I'll help you get started. I'll train whoever I need to train to get that going, helping you to formulate. And it was very at its infant stage. AZRI was at that point. All the concepts were there, the clinical, the clinical know-how, all of that was there with the therapist, but the actual organization of the office staff in the business. And something inside me grew that I like the business aspect of this. I don't want to be sitting in a room 24/7, dealing with the clients and helping them, although I do love doing that. I mean, I do love the people and being there to support them, but just in a different capacity. And so we started beginning to work on AZRI and developing protocols and creating the practice and the facility. And so I've learned a lot. I've learned so much doing this. So our mission here is kind of twofold. It's helping the clients in the community, but also helping the therapists. So why our place is unique is because we are not community health where we've got therapists coming in where they're working 40 hours, 50 hours, where they're getting overwhelmed. we tend to see some therapists where they get burnout really fast. And so work-life balance here is very important, and it's very important to me. Yes, we need to pay the bills. Yes, we need to, make money, all of us, right? But our focus is also training new therapists who come in, who are coming out of school, or later on in life, this was their second career, and they're coming back, or their third career, and they're coming into, needing to do their supervision, needing to do their training. They're wanting to develop new skills, and they want to have a support system, right? And a group to bounce things off of, and to have a community. And so our practice is a bit different, where we really value and we want therapists to come here, learn, become, and develop into the professional that they want to be. Not necessarily trying to get them to conform to what we as the facility want them to be. There are some modalities that I do recommend and I do want all my therapists to have, but again, that's because of my years of experience of working with clinicians and going, you know what? Clinicians that have this, this, and this, which is usually EFT, EMDR, DBT, CBT, that all kind of goes with it. But those tend to be, they make a very well-rounded therapist. And so I like when a lot of our therapists come here new, they're starting out, they have none of it, right? They just are coming from school. And so we give them the place to be comfortable and to be vulnerable and to ask questions without feeling like they don't, they're going to have somebody say, well, you don't know that already. And so it's very important. I will tell a therapist, you're working too many hours. You're going to burn yourself out. Block your schedule, because it's very important for me. Or what have you done for yourself today or this week? Are you taking care of yourself, right? So it's a constant conversation between me and the supervisors and the therapists to say, we see, I try and keep a good eye out on what that looks like in therapists. And so I'm constantly going over their schedules and then working with them personally and having conversations with them. So the idea is to come here, to start out, most therapists have to go through about 2 years worth of supervision and training before they can be fully licensed. They can go out in private practice on their own right out of school if they become licensed associate. But a lot of therapists are like, ooh, I don't think I'm qualified for that, right? So this is a great place for them to start. But I like to hire therapists who have an entrepreneurial mindset, where they're eventually, the idea is you're going to go out in private practice. And although we're not going to kick you out, right? You can stay. That's not the idea here. The idea is for therapists to come here, want to work here, stay here for those 2 years, or however long they feel comfortable. So it could happen before that 2 years, where we've got these therapists that are just like, I'm ready, I'm good, right? I know all. So we teach them about the business side of things as well as the clinical side of things. And I'm more the business side, right? And so we're talking to them about taxes and, contract work and insurance and how a lot of that stuff works, helping them to also learn the skills of being able to manage a private practice, because it's not just, the calls are going to come in and I just, going to pick up the phone and they're always going to be there. No, you've got to be learning good habits, right, on following up with your clients, staying in tune, making sure that you're there and present with them. There's all kinds of different things, not just the clinical side of things, right? Because I don't know about you guys, but I know I've gone to a therapist where I just didn't feel that therapist was really there for me. And so not all therapists are created equally, right? And so that's why not one therapist is going to be the best for everybody. And so I have a real passion with being able to help. In fact, I get really excited when a new therapist decides to leave. I get sad too. I'm not going to say that, but because we develop really good relationships, right, within our office. And I like to say that we have a very good culture here. at AZRI. So when new therapists are coming in, that's the first thing we kind of talk about is, you know, this is the way we do it. We all come from different walks of life. We come from different belief systems, different opinions, all of those, but that stops at the door. Like, we love each other no matter what. We support each other no matter what, right? And if we have issues and conflict, we work it out right away and we don't let it fester, right? And so that's the, I want to say, the culture that I like to try to keep going here. And that you can come to me with anything, right? Or to any of us, because I see that happening a lot. And so I'm very happy to see that that's happening, because I hear most often from new therapists when they're coming to us, I'm burnt out, my supervisor was terrible, you know, they didn't care about me, all they cared about was the quota, that I needed to have, you know, so many hours, all of those things. So I kind of step back. I don't dictate. I kind of step back and I go, okay, well, what is it that you want? Do you want to go and do this training in this, right? And help and facilitate that in some way. And sometimes we do, we'll pay for a training for therapists so that then they can come back and train the group, right? So I would say, I like to say, I don't know, maybe some of you therapists back there can say, I think that we're very unique in the Valley. I don't think there's a lot of other places that do that. You know, there's a lot of group practices, but that you come here and you can also build a clientele and take it with you when you're done. Like when you're ready to go out on your own. And so there's kind of like even that stepping stone as you're starting to go out as well. So that's the idea of the place of AZRI, is to have two. We're supporting the therapists as well as the community and the clients. And I honestly benefit the most, I think, because I benefit from working with all these amazing clinicians, also their knowledge, working to create, and with having ADD, I get to do different things all the time, so I'm not getting bored. Sorry. But yeah, I feel like I've been led to do this work. And so just to wrap that up, so Dr. Gold, after a few years of running the place, she started having some health issues and decided she needed to step away in that capacity. And she's still a part of us in some way. She does some trainings and things like that. And I have to honor her in that she, the essence of what she created here is still what I want to keep going. And so I hope that I can continue to do that and to help the community even more. So thank you.